So, we are getting into that phase of the year, that time of year when there seems to be a lot of things that kind of ramp up this time of year, especially on the side of our mission partners. So we do have that going on. So
yeah, everything's getting started again because we're kind of hoping that fall creeps in. I keep going outside every morning. I open the door to see if there's a little bit of cool that kind of hits me. Nothing.
It never.
Not really yet.
You know what? When I know, it's when the mosquitoes stop biting me. I have a period of like 8 months where mosquitoes just attack me. I literally carry mosquito repellent.
You're a mosquito friendly.
Yes, I carry in my purse some kind of mosquito insect repellent and in my backpack. So because they attack me in my office.
Patina, Ripkey, mosquito whisperer.
Yes, it's disgusting. I hate them so much. I'm taking up that with God when I get to heaven.
You're very sweet. Right?
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm. Or just have a lot of fat in there. We won't go there. But anyway.
But yes, so ministry related, we're starting back with our Palm Valley work days.
Yes.
Once a month. So that's getting ready to start. And then OURM, which we've continued through the summer, but we're still serving dinner.
Yeah.
That's always on a Monday night.
It's always on a Monday night. Everybody's welcome to go, but there's a lot of people who aren't really inclined to drive. We kind of need some drivers.
Okay.
So if anybody, it's open to anyone's. And it's always a lot of fun and a really rewarding experience, but we do have to drive downtown for it.
Got to go just past downtown Orlando, and so there is some traffic involved.
It's not that big. I mean, I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I drive a lot, so.
But if you're not used to it.
Yeah, but we also have like stuff coming up in the fall, so we do have the fall festival that they have in October, and we always bring a large group with us, so we'll be doing that again. And
we've got 2 events coming up at the children's home.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Wait, what is today? So that's like this, it's in the 21st and the 28th.
Yeah. So we're just living, we are really blessed with the partners that we have. And so if you're interested, we can still get you in. There's a process to getting in to help at the children's home because there's some background checks that need to happen and things. But
I do want to mention also, which I don't talk a lot about on here, but it is one of my passions, which is the fight against human trafficking. And we have Safe Central Florida that we work with a lot, and they're connected to all of these organizations locally that are fighting, fighting against human trafficking, including the police. There's all different organizations. And if anybody's interested in that, I want you to reach out to me personally because I can get you connected. You can be a mentor or for Harbor Hope International, and they have a big fundraiser coming up in October. They're building this brand new facility, and then Samaritan Village. That's another one, and they build safe homes for the people coming out of human trafficking. And so there's lots of ways you can give to them and buy product for them. And there's all different things. And we don't advertise it a lot.
Right.
And I feel like I've kind of let the ball drop a little bit. But if somebody's interested in that, we're definitely...
we really do need some more of our lay people.
Yes.
We have a group that's been involved and been trained. And then we sponsored one of the rooms at Samaritan's Village. And so we just, these ministries that create safe spaces because people coming out of trafficking, it's such a courageous step to take. And you're right, law enforcement needs to help them often, but there also needs to be a safe place where they can take that time that they need to recover and figure out what the rest of their life's going to look like.
They kind of have to, they have to be in hiding, basically. So it's a whole process, but if anybody wants to know more about it too, I've interviewed on a live, Samaritan Village, Harbor Hope International, Mary Karimov. I don't think I've interviewed anybody from Safe yet, but I have, Love Missions in Sanford. I believe she's in Sanford. Tina Candoff. So I've interviewed people that have, and also people who have come out of trafficking. Right. So anyway, we won't go on and on, but I just wanted to put that out there, remind people that we are.
Yeah, we would love to have some folks that just want to take on something like that and become passionate about it if it's not already a passion. help our church to be more effective at that, because there are things that you and I kind of aspire for our church to live into, but
right.
that, that's not something we can just wish into happening. So,
right.
Yeah.
So we have our programming tonight too. We've got our Wednesday night, and we've got our Bible studies and dinner and children's programming and youth programming tonight. So that's going on. But can we take a minute to talk about the new series, In Joy? So we're starting it this weekend. You're kicking it off. Finding joy through the life and teachings of Jesus. Let's talk about it and why you wanted to.
Yeah, this was kind of my brainchild that I asked you to kind of imagine living into, because we've done some pretty hardcore series on the nuts and bolts of our faith and what it means to have a living relationship with Jesus. And so I wanted to kind of talk about, in the midst of everything that goes on in our life, there are so many scriptures that talk to us about God's almost insistent that that our lives be reflective of joy. Yeah. So it's like, everything I do isn't joyful. So how am I joyful in everything that I do? And so, so we wanted to kind of embark on this series and talk about, how do you find joy in the midst of challenging relationships? How do you find joy in the midst of troubling seasons? How do you find joy in the midst of uncertainty or stress or anxiety? So it didn't really start out that way. I kind of said, hey, let's do something a little lighter.
I know. Yeah, you did say that. And we're like, nope.
Let's talk about joy, and we'll just show a bunch of YouTube videos
of what joy is not. Well, I think I think the reason why we ended up going down the path of all of these kind of difficult things is because the world, the people in our church, in our lives, in our communities are really broken. Yeah. And it seems to be getting progressively worse. People are angrier than they've ever been. There's online anger. You go to the grocery store and there's somebody in the store in the parking lot yelling at someone else. It's a rough time.
I read something this past week that anger is not a base emotion. There's something deeper than anger. And the article pointed to fear and anxiety, that anger is not the deepest emotion, that fear and anxiety are the emotions from which anger comes from. And that kind of resonated with me a little bit.
That's really good.
I see a lot of people, just based on their circumstances, lashing out or striking out. And we want to be, we as the church don't want to be the answer to that. We're not the answer to anything, but we believe that Jesus Christ is the answer to the anxiety and the fear.
Absolutely.
Which also pulls away from us all those other actions that are less than God intends for our life. So I'm starting off this week with just a real straightforward message. What is joy?
Right.
Where are we called to find it? John 15 is going to be the scripture that we work from, where John, the words of Jesus that John's recalling, just talk about the whole nature of the relationship that we have with him, and that, his departure, which he talks about in John 14, is for the purpose of giving us what we think his leaving is going to cause. He's like, going away is going to be difficult, but I'm going so that you can have joy.
Right.
So anyway, I'm a ways away from being done with it, but
no, I think it's good. And when you were talking about anger and like something that's beneath the anger, have you ever said to someone who is angry when they're angry at you, have you ever said, you're choosing to be angry? That never goes well. Yeah, anger is a choice, but that's where that comes from. Yeah. Is that anger is not, I've heard people say, this is just the way I am. Right. But if you think of it the way you said, which is, well, if anger is resulting from something else that's deeper, then if you can get to what the root of it is, then you do have a choice. Yeah. And so we're going to be, we're going to be talking about failure.
I was trying to remember some of our from some of our topical discussions.
You mentioned relationships, suffering, trauma. And I don't know about this last one. I'm not going to mention it. We called it something, but maybe there's another one. There's a lot in here. So, but we are going to be touching on things I think that will meet people right where they are, and I think it's important right now to do that. So I'm excited about it. I think we're going to have a lot of really good discussions, and I pray that when people leave, or they watch online, or they leave the sanctuary, that they just don't walk away, that they take something with them. Like, I hope that this series becomes these are some tools to help you, because joy, the way I understand it, we always say, well, joy is not happiness. That's true. But scripturally, it seems that joy seems to be paired with difficulty.
Yep.
It's not like just this thing that just happens out of nowhere. It's like it comes from deep within.
Yeah, the premise from John 15 is that literally the building blocks for joy are the desperation, the hopelessness. That as I live through those, I find myself at a place of joy, and it's not I do something so I get joy, and I do something and I get joy. It's not every time. It's a life that we live into over time. Yeah. And, but we're no longer anxious about the journey because we know the destination. Exactly. Anyway.
No, that's good. That's very good.
I write that down.
Yeah, you better get that. I like where we're going with this. I don't think I have anything else. I was trying to remember. We do have homecoming coming up, but that's going to be in November. We do have a lot of stuff going on in October. Trunk or treat, we have pumpkins coming, but we can kind of push that off.
Yeah, I would really encourage folks, if you're not in the habit of allowing the social media from the church to kind of get in the middle of what you're doing, our church puts out so many great reminders about great things that are happening. And I can't tell you how many times people have said to me, "Oh, I wish I'd have known that was happening." Or so. If you're not somebody that does social media, this would be a really good time to kind of to try to learn how to do that. So the reminders and the Instagram, we can really do some inspiring things in your life through the technology of this church. So let us help.
There's always something out there between Facebook and Instagram. Instagram's easy because it's just like little announcements all the time, and you can go back, and Lainey's done a great job of making everything look really professional. Even on the Alive podcast, I have an Instagram, and it just looks so good. I would encourage you guys to start. Yeah, I agree. Learn how to do it. You just
set up an Instagram for your Alive, and it reminded me of the interview that you had done with Jill months ago. The pastor who remembered Gene. And it caused me to go back and watch that again.
So good.
So the Instagram was the catalyst.
Or was it Instagram or TikTok?
TikTok.
I put it on. Yeah, so I just started a TikTok because there's a lot of weird feelings about TikTok. But I'm like, listen, we need to be out there because that's where people are. And I want people, because that particular video was so healing. I mean, when it was on our church's page, it had hundreds of views. And I just want people to see some of the things that can potentially help them. Yeah. And so, that one, Repressed Memories, her story, she's retired now. She was a pastor in the United Methodist Church. Yeah. So anyway, I've had great interviews.
There's just a treasure trove of past messages and things of that sort that you can access through the website. Yeah. Let us help.
Or Damien, or Lainey, one of them.
Yeah, we can't help you get there, but it's some of our content that's up there.
Yes. Yeah. Well, that's all I have. Yeah. So listen, guys, we will hopefully see some of you tonight, Wednesday night, and Saturday night we have worship. If you want to come to that, Sunday, we're around, so we'll see you then.